The Soccer World Cup should be the Football World Cup because soccer is only referred to in Canada and maybe the United States. Being hosted by Canada for the first time should be an inspiring celebration, open to all, with hospitality shown to visitors from many nations. With 48 countries represented by their teams, there has never been such a large competition, and it promises to be a remarkable sporting event watched by billions on TV. But the World Cup this year is diminished by a lack of hospitality and greed. It is the first of these that relates to our Old Testament reading this morning. Hospitality to strangers is at the center of this story about Abraham and his response to the 3 visitors to his tent. In the letter of Paul to the Hebrews, one verse reads, "Do not neglect to show hospitality to strangers, for by doing that, some have entertained angels without knowing it." Paul was probably referring to this pivotal moment in Genesis. Abraham sees the strangers, runs out to meet them and welcome them. He asks them to stay and rest and be refreshed for their journey, and Sarah prepares a feast for them. As it turns out, the strangers are messengers from God, angels who tell Abraham that he will bear a son, and from that beginning, many nations will be blessed. Sarah is told she will bear a son, and her response to the idea of bearing a child when she is of a great age is incredulity. She laughs. But God has the last laugh, and Sarah bears Isaac. So hospitality is part of the origin of the 3 great Abrahamic religions: Judaism, Christianity, and Islam. The monotheism in those religions offers a counterpoint to the many gods of different cultures and nations. It is part of a vision of universal faith and brotherhood and sisterhood in one God, rather than tribalism and exclusivity. In our own time, after many years of immigration and welcoming of refugees, we are seeing an upsurge of violence and discrimination against those who are strangers. We've seen this in Gaza, in the West Bank, in Europe, and throughout the world, where hospitality has been replaced by hatred. And in the United States, where people are being denied entrance because of their race or ethnic origin. And we see also south of the border ICE dragging Black and Hispanic people out of their homes and off the street without warrants and due process, and putting them in warehouses where they have been literally tortured and placed in inhumane conditions without privacy and adequate food and medical care. The Trump administration's efforts to deport as many people as possible are directly contrary to biblical teaching. Hospitality can turn enemies into friends, but the rulers of the US, China, and Russia, as well as oligarchs like Elon Musk, would prefer to pit people against one another and foster hatred and violence. Challenging the powers and principalities of the world seems far from our everyday lives. But we live in faith and follow Jesus as we do our small part in living out the gospel of peace and justice. We think of today's gospel when Jesus calls the 12 to carry out the work he has begun, to bring the good news to the people of Israel, healing the sick, teaching and casting out unclean spirits. Jesus is full of compassion for the people, and he realized they were sheep without a shepherd. The disciples were to go out without any provisions or baggage. They needed to travel light and find those who would offer hospitality. But Jesus warns it won't be easy. Be as wise as serpents and innocent as doves. So their message will face opposition and they risk persecution. Families will be divided. Testifying to what God is revealing through Jesus is a countercultural and counter-authoritarian message which will be resisted by the religious establishment in Palestine. So hospitality defines the origins of the Abrahamic religions, the spread of the gospel by Jesus and his disciples, and later the foundation of the church. We give thanks for the hospitality we offer within our parish and in our family lives and in our community. Let us join together and celebrate our common humanity and give praise to God for all he has given us.